Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. All right, let's go out to Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate. Joins us every Thursday. Luke, how we doing?
Hey, man, I think I get to finally claim that I am just like a full-blown Louisianan now because I fell asleep at 9:30 last night while a hurricane was rattling my house. So feel pretty good about that.
Only took 15, 16 years for you to get there?
yeah. Literally, my first 3 months in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, Gustav hit, and I was without power for a week and a half with 2 families and 5 dogs in the house. So this was a preferable experience to my first one.
Yeah, obviously still a lot of power outages around South Louisiana, but it appears everything is on the up and up, and things are getting back to normal pretty quickly. Saints were pretty good on Sunday. What was the most surprising thing that you saw?
Man, out of a long list of them, I think the complete dominance by that offensive line was really shocking. I think that I thought I'm not alone in thinking that was going to be their kind of Achilles heel on offense this year, and it still might turn out to be. We just don't know exactly what they were facing against Carolina, but those guys completely shut those guys down, and it was play after play after play. I mean, that 3rd and 7 where they pitched it to Alvin Kamara, there was 5 offensive linemen 10 yards downfield blocking for him. I mean, we would never have seen that last year, and not if they would have ran a million offensive plays. So I was just completely blown away by that. Fewest amount of pressures allowed in week 1, Saints offense. They were just blowing the Carolina defensive front off the ball on running plays, rushing for 180 yards. They're really, really impressive. Now we're get to see him against Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence in this really, really talented Dallas front this week. So we should get a real glimpse of what they are.
Was last year's scheme just bad?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was bad, but it is if you're not having Drew Brees as your quarterback, right? I think that whole thing was built around him, and then it was shaped around him for 15 years. You take him out of the equation, and it's not the same offense they were running, even though it's the same scheme and the same plays and the same verbiage. It's not the same when you take a supercomputer out of there. They're going to run it in Denver this year. I'm sure they're going to have some offensive success after Bo Nix kind of gets his sea legs. But this is just clearly what they're running this year is more player friendly. It's taking a lot of responsibility off of Derek Carr's shoulders. It is making things a whole hell of a lot easier for that offensive line. When they're just working on getting on their tracks and they're making this wide zone running scheme that we've seen just have tons and tons of success around the NFL. This is a very good scheme. That last one is only really a good scheme if you have the right components, and then they didn't have that.
Let's talk about the offensive line. You said things were easier for them. How do you think they performed, and do you think it's sustainable?
I mean, like I said, I think they were way outperformed my expectations. I didn't think they were going to be as bad as everybody, and I think that still kind of remains to be seen. And once they get into a situation where they are going to have more 3rd and longs and obvious passing situations. But man, they way even outperformed my own expectations in week 1. They were on point with everything, and I don't think you could look at this and say there was a weak link in week 1. Trevor Penning played really well. Tali Fuaga just got a 4-minute highlight reel session from Brian Baldinger saying he's a big man on campus. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz played really well. They lost Lucas Patrick after the first half, and Landon Young came in. Landon Young's played almost exclusively a tackle in his career. He came in and he looked really good. So I just think it's a credit to Klint Kubiak, and really a credit to their offensive line coaches John Benton and Rick Dennison, just for getting those guys ready to play, because they look great. Now we'll see again, I mean, it's like a huge step up in competition this week against Dallas. I think we'll get a real true sense of how good those guys are, but a really good first step.
Derek Carr was obviously hurt in the middle of last year. That's not a secret. And then he played better later on in the season, and then he was great on Sunday. Is there a chance that they could unlock something here and that a lot of the bad performances early were largely due to injury?
Yeah, I think 100% there's a chance. I don't want to say it's all because of injury, although that did definitely play a factor in his play last year. But yeah, I think when we were talking about scheme, I think that hurt him too. And when you look at these guys who have run this McVay Shanahan offense throughout the league, I mean, look, Kirk Cousins was a great quarterback running that offense in Minnesota. That was the McVay offense, right? With Kevin O'Connell. I mean, you don't even have to really say anything about Kyle Shanahan. What he's he's taken a 7th round pick and made him an MVP type candidate last year. Tua Tagovailoa led the NFL in passing last year under Mike McDaniel, another Shanahan guy. And C.J. Stroud goes out and has one of the best rookie seasons ever by an NFL quarterback, and he's under Bobby Slowick, who's on that Kyle Shanahan tree. So this is a system, and these modern offenses are systems that get the most out of the quarterback. So I don't think he's going to go out there every week and have 140 passer rating or whatever. There are going to be challenging moments, but I think more often than not, you can count on this scheme to make things easier for the quarterback. There's not nearly as much responsibility on his shoulders in terms of making calls at the line of scrimmage, in terms of reading the field. It's all kind of set up for him, and he just has to go out and make plays. I think that's why we saw him have success.
All right, how do you think they'll do against Dallas offensively?
I called back in May that I think they were going to beat Dallas, and I've kind of said that tongue in cheek because Dallas was bringing in a new defensive coordinator and it's kind of having bad vibes off season. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I still have a hard time. I got to see him do it against a good team before I really feel great about it. But I think they could put up 24 points against them. Maybe more, and we'll see what happens. Maybe Dallas played a bad Cleveland offense in week 1, and they didn't really put up huge defensive or offensive numbers in that game either. So maybe the Saints can go in there and surprise some people. We'll see.
Let's talk about the Saints defense. Lattimore and Mathieu not practicing as of yesterday. Are you concerned about those two guys' availability on Sunday?
More concerned about Lattimore than I am Tyrann. I think Tyrann probably would have played on Sunday more than he did. He only played about half the snaps if they weren't just absolutely braining Carolina. Matthew's a different story, though. I think anytime you hear hamstring, even if he says he's feeling okay after the game, those are things that tend to take time, especially when you're talking about the Saints medical staff. They're really conservative on those sorts of things. So I feel less good about Marshon Lattimore, but there's always a chance he's good to go by Sunday. It's just not nearly as good, especially when you got Kool-Aid McKinstry back there, and the team just brought in Shamar Jean-Charles, who was with the team in training camp, played pretty well. Can give them some depth there if they need it. So that's one I don't feel nearly as good about.
Let's talk about the Dallas offense. Obviously, Dak's a rich dude now. How well do you think that offense is going to run against New Orleans?
Well, they've got really good players at quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, offensive guard. They've got rookie tackle, rookie center, Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, but I think both of those players played really well. Tyler Guyton was actually, I think, number 2 among NFL rookies in pass block win rate last week, and that was going against Myles Garrett in his first NFL game. So, pretty good player there. They don't really have much at running back that scares you. Their tight end is kind of a question mark going into this game, but they got studs, and they got studs at important positions. So, I think this is probably going to be one of the better offenses they face this year. Oh, that being said, I think this Dennis Allen coached defense has had success against Dak and the Cowboys offense in the past. Dak, for all the good things he does, he's not like a super mobile quarterback anymore. Like he'll get around in the pocket, but he's not going to really hurt you a lot with his legs. And I think those are kind of the type of players they tend to do better against. So yeah, I think it's a fine matchup for the Saints. It's just they got to make sure the superstars don't absolutely kill them in this one.
What would a win mean for New Orleans on Sunday?
I mean, I think it would absolutely alter the perception of them around the league. They absolutely throttled Carolina in week 1, and everybody is still like, well, it's Carolina. Like, terrible team. Like, the Saints are probably bad too. If they do it against the Dallas Cowboys on a TV broadcast that is being shown to like 3/4 of the country with Tom Brady calling the game, I think people are going to start to change their minds about this team. But obviously, they've got to do it, right? And I think even like if they were to go in there and play really competitively and come away with a loss, I think people will still probably rethink, some of their preseason ideas about this team. But if they go in there and just get their butts handed to them, then that just validates what everybody is saying about the team going into the year.
Yeah, they got the one they had to get. Now we'll see how good they are as they play on Sunday against Dallas. Do they still have a mac and cheese bar in the press box at Jerry World? That's what they had in 2011 when I covered the Oregon game. Yeah,
I think I haven't been there since 2019. I think that was it. But God, I hope so. I think they are also one of the very last press boxes in the NFL to serve some Frosty Pops after the game. So looking forward to maybe catching a Bud Heavy and Scooter Hobbs honor at about 5:00 on Sunday afternoon.
We like that a lot. They used to do that at LSU too. No more. But yeah, I appreciate that very much. Safe travels to Dallas, and we'll talk next week. Thanks, Luke.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.